Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Well, we were just discussing with our guests, who, by the way, this morning are Mr. Francis, I beg your pardon, Mr. Evans, talking about Francis before now, but Mr. Evans Ufeli. Mr. Ufeli is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. So let me say that again, Evans Ufeli. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome. And Mr. Daniel, Olayinka Daniel. He's also a social commentator.
Thank you.
Great to have you. See you all over the place, which can only be good. You're in high demand. Even the programs that are not localized. See you. Some of those continental programs. Great to have you on our show as well.
Thank you, sir.
We were saying just before coming on air that there are far too many trending stories to borrow from the social media. On the one hand, the Securities and Exchange Commission, you know, they have their issues. The chief there, the DG, you know, they want him out. He's saying not so. You know, all of that's going on. Then the other one that hasn't quite died down yet is this whole third force, Coalition for Nigeria, I think they call it. And we talked about that yesterday. It's all in the body, you know, polity. What exactly, and you know, we had just 1 hour to talk about it yesterday. So there's a sense in which we can continue with it today. The President Obasanjo's letter was very, very well received. Yes, there were people who took exception to how it was presented. Perhaps the language could have been a bit more presidential. Perhaps it could have been a bit more finely, you know, crafted. But nobody is quarreling. In fact, yesterday I just, you know, dipped my hand in my tongue and said this is probably something like 85% acceptance ratio. That was just my unscientific guess. But guys, continuing the subject, PDP has failed us. APC cannot save us is former President Obasanjo's contention. So therefore, we need to think about something different. Now, the question is that a distraction or not? Because there are those who are saying that, you know, from time to time, former President Obasanjo will be President Obasanjo. He's not going to change. And so should this change anything? Is that a distraction, or is there plenty there? Now, make no mistake about it. I agree. Most people agree. We have a lot of problems. Not all of them have been solved. The ones that have been solved have not impacted us yet. So people are wanting to see some results, and so far, no results. Maybe that's what former President Obasanjo meant when he said, President Buhari, you know, in his words, lacks an understanding of the dynamics of internal democracy and all of that kind of a thing. So let me start with you, Evans. The whole idea of scrap all the existing 20-something parties and come up with a brand new idea so that Nigerians can take their destiny back in their own hands. It's a rhetoric we've heard from time to time. Now President Obasanjo is bringing it on. Is it a distraction or is it real?
Well, I think the message is the truth, in the sense that we need an alternative to the two main political parties.
Really? I mean, you've arrived there. Some people are saying this is just 2 years in, let's, you know, in fact, somebody said, I'll give them another year.
No, 3 years.
Okay, I'll give them another year before I come to a decision.
What I would think...
Because some development projects last a certain time.
What I would say about this is that the fact that we need an alternative is a democratic principle. Democracy is a flexible process for which expansion is required at every point in time. If you remember, just some months ago, INEC registers on new political parties. And that is multi-party system for which the Nigerian Constitution admits. You understand? But when we are now looking deeper into the internal polity, to look at how well have the two main political parties fared, how far. PDP, in its part, had you know, tried to create and deliver to allow Nigerians access democracy. It didn't work. APC came up with promises. They've not been able to deliver on their promises. I listened to the governor of Kaduna State when he said that he believed they are still going to win in 2019. They're going to get their 24 states and all that by, you know, the Constitution said to clinch the presidency by Section 134 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, you need to get 24 states and you need to get 2/3 and all that. So he has said that, but he made a statement. He said he is sure that they will clinch it, that they are still planning to deliver on their promises. I mean, when you're planning in 3 years, yeah, I mean, you have 4 years, using 3 years to plan. It doesn't make any sense that you're going to clinch or make any difference. But my problem with the third force is this. We think that changing the presidency is our problem. And I had expected President Olusegun Obasanjo to know.
I don't know how really truly accurate that is, because it didn't seem to me that President Obasanjo was, no, scratch that. I was going to say, I don't think he was being personal. But I think the important thing here is that he was saying a system, a political party, a political direction, a political philosophy.
I understand. I read the letter. But what I'm talking about the ideology.
It wasn't about changing
the third force. The third force ideology is what I'm talking about.
Meaning we need another party.
No, yeah, that third force ideology, I have a problem with it because those who promulgate it, those who are promulgating the third force ideology believes that...
Or promoting it.
Yes, believes that we should take off the APC and take off the PDP from the center so that the new third force will take over. Then our problem will be solved. They are not talking about the various National Assembly constituency
I get your meaning now. I get your meaning.
They're not talking about all that. They just look at the third force should mean take away the president, then bring a third from a new brown party.
Okay.
So that will not solve our problem. It isn't going to solve that way.
Okay, Evans, I get your meaning now. Yinka, do you agree or think that's being a bit overly simplistic?
I may go...
that is, you know, getting into the minds of those promoters and saying that is probably what they're thinking.
For me, any one that we are presenting in 2019 that's either from APC or PDP, for me, is a doom to the nation, because we have seen so far, seriously, we have seen so far that nothing is going to come up from these people. We have seen it, we've seen so far, nothing is going to come out from these people. That is one. Two, the coalition we are talking about, I may be wrong, but today, I think they are having their inauguration meeting or something in Abuja today. I may be wrong. Who is convening it? Who is the convener? The same former governor of Osun State, Olagusoye Oyinlola, convening it. These are the people you are telling me that's going to be the third first to come in. Well, I heard Donald Duke is part of them. I heard number of these people are part of them. Fine. But if you are showing me the convener first, and I have issue with this convener, and this is the same person that was in PDP, this is the same person that moved to APC, and we have seen things they have done, and now we are talking about the third force, we are talking about a coalition. See, I think when President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo talked about coalition, I think he made it clear, because he said immediately it comes to a political party, it will step aside. He said that. He made it clear in his letter.
Yes.
Meaning...
When it comes to matters of presenting for election.
Yes. He said he will step aside. Meaning that the coalition is supposed to be comprises of totally different people that have not been polluted so far by these policies from 1999 to date. Seriously. Because that is what I expect that the coalition bring to place. If we are sincere and we are serious about this coalition, the new Nigeria, we need... See, don't... some people think, oh, they are saying, oh, there is no alternative to Buhari. Who says? The same way we said there was no alternative, we had alternative in 2015, and we had Buhari in the government. And I remember before the election in 2015...
I don't know about no alternative to Buhari.
Oh,
it's just,
a lot of people hold that...
you know, I don't know about no alternative. Even Buhari himself, I'm not sure you hear the man saying there is no alternative to him.
Yeah, you will say, you know, they are praise singers, that they will say, oh, you know, the sycophant, and they will go ahead, go all the way.
Okay, guys, but maybe we just have to work with some incontrovertible facts, which is Buhari was elected by the people. Yes. Yeah. And so just don't complicate it. Don't go any further. That happened. Now, at that time, the people said, this is the man. I can't think of an alternative to this man from the field presented before me. This is the way to go. So that's that. Now, yeah, they've hit all sorts of turbulence. A lot of it, people are saying, self-inflicted. Not all of it externally generated. People have complained about their communication strategy, essentially because of a lack of one. Therefore, people don't know exactly what this presidency is doing, or whether it really feels our pain, whether it really understands us. People are beginning to, yet there was an enthusiasm and a readiness, apparently at the time, to sacrifice whatever it took. For all of that investment, I think the jury is still out on how much we have got for all of that investment. Now, this Coalition Nigeria, or whatever, Coalition for Nigeria.
Yeah, for Nigeria.
How is it going to be any different? Where are they going to get the membership from? Because politics is a game of power anyhow. So it's very, very unlikely that they're going to be seeing the likes of you, me, or you. They know who to look for. Obasanjo knows where to pick those people from. Yeah. Olagosue does as well. And all the other people that we don't know yet. So what main difference will this coalition bring, apart from, all right for us to indulge in a bit of idealism from time to time, but it's tough.
Well,
it's tough.
The new coalition, I think, to predict it, by the way, to answer what he said, there's no way you're going to have a new coalition where you're not going to have one or two of the old blocks.
Yes.
Because these are Nigerians that have constitutional right to belong to any association or any political party.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Except that those who control the engine room of the new coalition should be conscious of those who they bring on board. That is what I think you are saying. Okay. They should be conscious, because those who, according to you, have been polluted should not be allowed to stir the affairs of the new Nigeria. That's what he's saying. But if you look at it structurally, you find out that the only reason why the new force or this new coalition is going to have a lot of turbulence in future is because the system is still the old one. You have not devolved power. You have not restructured the country. You have not, you have not closed all the loopholes for which the current system is not striving.
So they can't get very different results, seems to be what you're suggesting.
Saying.
Let me take it here. I beg your pardon for interrupting you. Forgive me.
Yeah.
Look, most people think this is not a fair society. That's, you can't, because you are a Nigerian, stride confidently to a passport office, to a driving license office, or anywhere, or anything that is your right. It's not a fair society. It's going to depend on who you know, whose card you are saying, sorry, Uncle said I should give you this. Sorry, I'm embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
It's not a fair society. When they come to be, giving out things as every society needs to do, they don't throw it open. They know who to call. See me, Now, there is no society where there is not an old boy network. But it is thought that you just can't explain the unfairness of it all and the lack of unwillingness of succeeding generations to want to address it without being called names of communist. He wants to be a communist, right? He wants to take Nigeria to an equal kind of society.
Yeah, I get that perfectly. And what I think that the coalition should be doing, or what I think should be the objective first,
is to a driving license office or anywhere, or anything that is your right. It's not a fair society. It's going to depend on who you know, whose card you are saying, sorry, Uncle said I should give you this. Sorry, I'm embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
It's not a fair society. When they come to be, giving out things as every society needs to do, they don't throw it open. They know who to call. See me, Now, there is no society where there is not an old boy network. But it is thought that you just can't explain the unfairness of it all and the lack of unwillingness of succeeding generations to want to address it without being called names of communist. He wants to be a communist, right? He wants to take Nigeria to an equal kind of society.
Yeah, I get that perfectly. And what I think that the coalition should be doing, or what I think should be the objective first, is to come together, form this coalition, this third force, and begin to first address the structure of the country. No, not to go for political, because you are still going to wade into turbulence water.
So become champions of restructuring the society.
Yeah, the coalition first, its objective should address the problem. We have a problem of ethnicity. We still have the problem of economic injustice. We still have a problem of insurgency. we still have a lot of problems. So if you are creating a third force and you want the third force to wade into the problem, instead of creating a third force to address the problem, let's have constitutional conferences. Let's block all the noble. Let's create a system first. Then before you can now metamorphosize into a political party, then you can now present those you think are the choice candidate for which power can now, you know, so that you can start on a clean slate.
As you are speaking it, you know it is not going to happen like that.
Well,
you know,
they are objective already. It's not going towards that line.
Well, you know,
that's why I said
it's not going to. We're not going to get that radical in trying to.
At the same time,
lest people be called a revolutionary. I don't think.
At the same time, we need to be fair. We need to be fair about that letter. When I looked at it, when the coalition was being mentioned and when it was being introduced, it was not introduced for a political party, per se. That was the reason why he said he will step out.
If it should become.
Thank you. If it should become a political party, meaning there was a mission for that, because he had vision for the coalition. So the coalition, the vision for the coalition, the primary aim of the coalition is not to come as a political party. That doesn't mean it can't end up coming as a political, but that's not the primary assignment for the coalition. The primary assignment goes to what he raised. Let's come together.
So, what I read,
what is the problem?
In this thing, it's not. It's sitting towards trying to bring a new political system.
Before that, you see, because like you said, there's no we're going to have a political system that still work with the current system that will still come. Okay, we have the next.
Is going to oust its major beneficiaries from power and control.
Thank you. So if we are having the same thing, the truth is the coalition is as nothing as dead.
Yes. So you have the Fulani crisis. Of course, we don't talk as much about the millionaires and billionaires that are behind the cattle herders.
Thank you.
We talk about fuel scarcity. We don't talk about all the guys with oil blocks and all the guys. We don't talk about that. We just worry about, just stay in the economics here, muddy around in the economics. Let's go away and come back and continue another day. Really, it's unless the coalition wants to get real, brutally real. Say, guys, this is not really a job.
What I say from the coalition is more of the conference that we had. Even we said, okay, the conference we had, why don't you just bring the report? Whether there's going to be an amendment on the report, can't we just look at it? Because that taxpayers' money were wasted on that. And suddenly...
but people saw through it.
Sorry?
There are politicians that saw through it and just send a token kind of representation, knowing full well that nothing is going to come out of this.
Who were the people that were in the conference? Who made them? Probably the president or the whatever the committee know who they were picking, and they know what they were doing. Coalition shouldn't be like that.
So sometimes much more than the people they picked or the faultiness of the people they pick, because you are never going to get Nigerians to get satisfied of the people they pick. People will always still complain that one or two persons shouldn't have been there, this other person shouldn't have been there. What we should look at is the recommendations.
You know why, sir? You know why, sir? I'm guessing
the recommendations of those reports.
I don't think Nigerians care who you pick. My personal, they don't care who you pick so far as you deliver.
Does the recommendation address the issues? The recommendations those people in the report, does it address in Nigeria the issue that is,
The question is the so-called the people, the constitution of that conference.
Yeah.
Now, if we are talking about conference of national interest, now I am still the one in charge as the president, and I am the one picking names. What stops me from saying, okay, Lagos State, I need representatives from your end? Then Lagos State talk to the local government. Come, I need representatives. As in, go to the grassroots, and not Mr. President picking Mr. Saraki, not Mr. President picking Mr. Clark, not Mr. President picking the people they know. What are they going to do? It's all about to go to see how they're going to still share what we are talking about.
Exactly. And I think, and here we're really being cynical, you know, to be fair to the system, but, you know, I'm complicit. It's like people thought that way anyhow. Not that there were not some who believed in it. Some are even still saying that, look, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Can we just look at that report? There might be 2 or 3 paragraphs that we can use and develop upon since we spent money on it anyhow. But it's going to all still come back to that whole question of sincerity of purpose by those who are running our affairs and how fair they want to make this society. Look, different strokes for different folks. Maybe it's slightly relevant in this conversation, but I hear that in Libya there's no homelessness problem. Now, I don't know. I've not been there. But somebody was thinking along those lines. You hear of such examples of perhaps selflessness, because when people come to power anyhow, you see, the part of the problem that I think, guessing now, creates issues for us is that people don't go into politics and come out the worse for wear, by and large, monetarily.
Yes.
This is one of the big problems. We don't have a system where you have achieved whatever you have achieved, and because you don't need a monthly salary anymore, you're donating your time, your intellect, and what you call to what is essentially a pay cut coming into politics, rather from where you are. That's not the way we operate here. In fact, people operate here from, I don't have what I'm doing now, but I'm well connected. I could show up as a chairman somewhere if I play my cards right. So it doesn't address the matter of, what's that word now? That thing about merit.
Yes.
It doesn't address that question of merit.
That is why this coalition should be addressing this issue you just talked about. The coalition should be looking at a wide spectrum of the problems of the Nigerian state. The
and that's
things
what
that
says it is going to do.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he said it is going to do.
That's what I'm saying, because if you look at even the reports of those conferences, some of which have even passed in the National Assembly, for which, okay, devolution of power actually did not pass. Now the Senate reconvened and they will look into it and also, you know, try to bring it up again. But some of the ones that passed was just signed into law by the president some weeks back, just 1 week ago. Okay, after the letter of the president and after the letter of President Obasanjo, then. But if you look at it, you will discover that what we need is not a force that presents candidates to clinch political power. No. That's not what we need at all. Because when you begin
for the sake of power itself,
just
for the sake of power itself, because
you
need power to get things done.
Yes, you need power to get things done.
Not just for the sake of power itself.
But then the structure is as powerful as power itself.
Maybe we should correct some kind of mentality that we share in this part of the continent, and that has to do with power. The other time, Mr. Saraki was congratulating the Liberian president. And what he said was, oh, congratulations, Mr. President, for what? Taking over power. Everything is about power. And that is the reason why you see us, whatever it takes, want to get that power. But in the other advanced countries, the Americans, the Europeans and all that, you hear less of power.
You hear more of,
thank you.
It's just the authority to
To
administer.
lead, to administer.
The authority to lead.
To serve.
Yeah, because they are patriots.
If you want, we have had servant governors ourselves. You know.
That is when we become patriots. And when we say that we're actually the slave to these people, that we are chief servants of these people and not number one and, oh, I have the power. So when they look for power, the truth is, nobody is thinking about the system. Nobody is thinking about how it's going to be great or better for the nation. And that is the reason why you see what you see next is cabal. I think what you mean, forgive me for putting it like that, what you really mean is that not enough people are thinking what you just said. Not nobody. Not nobody. I agree with you.
So those people don't have the critical mass to overwhelm the other guys. It's not acceptable. Where are you going to present that? Because the fact right now, again, here I'm just guessing any hold recklessly. The fact right now is that with the Buhari anti-corruption campaign and efforts in that regard, when it comes to, it's okay for Buhari. People have said that Buhari is the only man who is really fighting corruption. Hyperbolic, no doubt, but you understand the meaning.
Yeah.
We, the people that have to now back that initiative, how committed are we really to that whole no corruption thing? Having the choice between standing your ground and fighting a corruption advance, such as I will not settle, I will not do this, and just settling and going on your merry way, knowing that I can't change the world. I mean, am I the only person going to do it? So there's this duplicity going on. Everybody knows corruption is bad, but you're not ready to invest the hassle to put your money where your mouth is in all, it's a matter of, it's a small thing. Look, you can get that passport for me in, 24 hours. Yeah. How much did you say? 20-something thousand? Okay, take it. Now, it's a spurious example, but you get what I mean.
That is why we have to go back to the basics, okay? We need to come together and redefine our attitude. See,
redefine what kind of society we want.
Yes, and the the way we behave. If you go to the Scandinavian countries, I mean, Netherlands and all that, you find that because of the level of investment in the citizenry and the consciousness to do the right thing, they are not shutting prisons down. There are no inmates in prison. They are not, because society decided. No, that's what I'm saying. They did that in the late 90s, and the result is what we're seeing today. It has not always been like that over there. It's an example.
We were not so bad until the military came.
Yeah,
we saw money the way we had never seen money. Things were done with money that our different societies, cultural backgrounds, you just couldn't do that. But
more values,
said,
more
our
value
problem is
debt.
not money, but how to spend it. And I think that was the turning point, so that now, that word that has come up now, this whole matter of sense of values, anybody who is doing any coalition or whatever they call, if you can't address that whole system of what our individual values are, that make up our collective values.
That is it. From the family unit, from the home front, from everywhere, we need to begin to develop a system that will work in Nigeria. Because if we keep talking about the president, let's remove the president and bring a third force, it would still not work. That's what I'm saying. So let's look for a way to get it right. Let's speak.
We're speaking like this, and Obasanjo is saying, "I'm going beyond speaking. I'm putting a movement on the ground, a proposal.
Yeah,
let like-minded people come together."
Like I said, I'm sure if I'm not wrong, like I said earlier, today they have they started today, as in they had the inauguration. But now the question is,
accepted now that he is indeed the spokesman.
He's the convener.
Okay,
he's the convener. And let's look at it. When President Buhari came into office, there was one particular reason why a lot of people voted for him. Integrity.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But basically, integrity. And as in what the records, as in they know him for that.
Okay. Simplicity
thank
of
you,
his life.
The modesty, life,
modesty.
Kind of like, okay, let us have it. And that's the reason why a lot of them went out.
But he couldn't instill that in everybody around him.
Thank you. That is where I'm going. Now, if we are having a coalition and the convener and most of the people in charge are people that I can't say no, no, then where are we heading from? That means from the beginning, it may be fundamentally collapsed.
Didn't former President Obasanjo also complain about recycling the same old?
He did. It's like the Russian...
Although when he came, he wasn't using that sentiment. When he came as a president this time,
yes,
he didn't bring that whole sentiment about why are you people recycling?
You see, the structure we have now is like the Russian political system as captured by George Orwell in Animal Farm. So in Animal Farm, what the pigs and intellectuals did was to send Jones away from the Animal Farm.
Oh, yeah, you remember.
Now, they didn't come together to address the structure, what made Jones what he is, what made him to be reckless, what made him to, be lawless and all that, what made him to inflict pain on the animals. They didn't address that at all. They just came.
It was the tyranny of power.
Yeah. They came, they took over power, they wrote their own constitution, and before you know it, they started amending the constitution without the General Assembly, and some animals became more equal than others.
There you go.
And at a point, they had to chase someone like Snowball was chased out. Someone like was it Benjamin also was like.
I hope you literature students, English literature students out there, you're following, Evans.
At some point on the animals, they didn't address that at all. They just came.
It was the tyranny of power.
Yeah. They came. They took over power. They wrote their own constitution. And before you know it, they started amending the constitution without the General Assembly, and some animals became more equal than others.
There you go.
And at a point, they had to chase someone like Snowball was chased out. You know, someone like was it Benjamin also was
I hope you literature students, English literature students out there, you're following, Evans.
At some point, got his leg broken. He was not treated. The pigs were taking milk. The animals were feeding on grass and all that. And at the end of the day, the whole system crumbled. And that is what is playing out now.
Okay, well, let's take a break on that literary note, which is germane to our matter. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Of course, we'll include your calls. Stay with us, please. Thank you for staying with us. Evans Ufeli and Olayinka Daniel still here, and we're taking perspectives on the whole matter about whether the existing political structure, can we just exhaust all the potentialities of it first, that's on one side, or, nothing is going to work as President Obasanjo seems to be suggesting. Therefore, think of this idea, and he's put forward this whole coalition for Nigeria, which we've pointed out. It's not a political party. It's supposed to be a movement. I'm not too sure what it's supposed to be doing. Maybe become the think tank, perhaps, for political parties proper. But should it indeed evolve into a political party that wants to present candidates for election, at that point, President Obasanjo said he would step aside, showing his altruism that, look, I don't want any benefit for all of this. I just love Nigeria. I love it to death. And well, although there are, as I said, we've said ourselves that 85% of the letter, most people are down with it. But President Obasanjo would not have accepted this when he was in office. For someone to now come up with a third force, or whatever you want to call it, and be making these kind of suggestions. But he said, look, I've tried to speak to the president, and it's when I didn't get any response on more than one occasion, that's why I've gone public. Well, it's all public now. People are now looking at the merits or otherwise. In any case, this whole movement, it's really put before the people, I hope. It's before the people. So it's what the people make of it. And here we are representatives of those people. This is what we are saying. So those are things that they're probably going to have to not so much work against or work to counter, but bear in mind. There is this skepticism, if not deep suspicion, that this is going to make any difference. But that is not to say that the issues he's pointed out are not burning ones, very, very important. And, I refer to self-infliction. Yeah. Maybe that's part of the problem. The way the whole Buhari campaign thing in the minds of most has, not so much campaign, administration, has managed its communication. People think that a much better job could have been done that would have kept the people right where they want them, that is, solidly behind them. Most people are still behind them, but Madam Josephine.
Yes, Uncle Yuri.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you today and your guests?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
Yes,
so
I want to thank you for today's your program, yeah.
Thank you.
Uncle Yuri, the Bible says when the Bible says when the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do?
But this our foundation was good before now, Madam Josephine, at the beginning.
No, our foundation is faulty. And as you can see, we are still being ruled by the military. They gave us constitution that themselves prepared, and they will keep coming, changing their uniform. Not until we have our own constitution as the people of Nigeria, what we want, what kind of government we want, and what kind of leader we want as a people. Removing tribal sentiment, removing religious sentiment, removing any kind of sentiment. Nigeria needs our own constitution. This constitution we are standing on, even if the righteous, they're voting in today, it cannot do anything.
But Josephine, do you President Obasanjo's suggestion of a coalition for Nigeria can do those things you are talking about. Do you think so?
No. Obasanjo coming into this matter again is another issue. It's another issue. Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you get me?
Yes.
This coalition coming from Obasanjo is not what we want as a Nigeria. Buhari missed a great opportunity to correct this thing. He has a mandate on a platter of gold. He came on board with the act of to do something that is different. Now, they are supposed to, first of all, when they came into power, this APC and Buhari's government, they are supposed to treat this issue, this is our constitutional issue that is supposed to give the first priority. When they get it, because when you get it right, everything will follow. The constitution that we are in now is the greatest problem we are now. Because without looking into it in details, we cannot come out of it. No matter the top coalition, no matter what. First of all, anybody that is coming in 2019, be you from PDP, be you from APC, I don't care. We are all Nigerians. They are entitled to rule. But what I want, we want a selfless leader. We want a leader we want a servant, not somebody that is looking for power just to acquire power. Somebody that has the heart of the people. And hearing the things that pains us. Because look at other countries, we are far behind. We are far behind. They should come out and do something that is right for everybody to benefit.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in, Madam Josephine. Appreciate that. There you go. So, really.
Can I quickly pick from...
She probably identifies with the contents of the letter, but at the same time, that doesn't mean she's endorsing...
Can I quickly pick from her?
Yes, please.
People like her. You see, the coalition for Nigeria is there and is open to all of us. But you know the truth. Most of us sit back. The people that are supposed to be part of this struggle, that are supposed to be part of this revolution, that are supposed to be part of this reform, they sit back and all they do is to read newspaper, all to do is to criticize, all to do is to just talk. And they don't even get involved. Then the next thing, you sit back and some people take over, then we start making noise. We want people like her. We want every other reasonable Nigerians that feel, oh, I can make impact. Let all of us come together, make this coalition, if that is what it is.
One other problem you're going to have to address, I guess, before we get to the stage that Yinka wants us to be at, is to remove the cynicism. People don't get involved because they know it's fixed. This whole thing is already rigged. Now, you know, this is the way we think. Maybe we had reason, but it's like we hypnotized ourselves into stay in that position.
Yeah, that passive participation is very dangerous. Believing that the system has been hijacked already.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ab initio, even upon inception or before inception. We shouldn't always believe that, even though it's always the case here. We can go and, work against the tide. We can move, you see, the
and that's the job of this coalition, if it's serious, to move around and first of all sell what you are saying now.
Yes, the formidable ideology
but I don't
that
know
addresses the problem of
just
Nigerian
just for being themselves, they will attract all manner of good people to them.
Before 2015 election, PDP came and they said they were going to rule for 60 years, if you remember. And
well, that was just a casual statement of one person.
No, not just one person.
Because it wasn't a policy.
No, sorry.
No.
Thank you. They adopted it and it was over. It was all over, but something happened.
Yeah.
There was a change. We decided. So if tomorrow we as people, as the citizens of this nation decide to take the destiny of Nigeria into our hands, and like now they said people should come for registration, get their PVC, I'm sure a lot of people are not doing that. Maybe we have, from the record that I saw yesterday, it was about 3 million plus that have obtained their PVC. And how many, looking at the number, we are maybe adults, let's say 80 million. And how many people out of the 80 million have registered?
Obtaining the PVC is not enough. Like the last 2015 election, only 15% voted. 15%.
You see?
Let me come back to you for you to develop on that idea that only 15% voted. Mr. Folabi, I hear you've been holding on for quite a while. My apologies. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning. Yeah. Well done to you on the studio there.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Afala. I'm calling from Ikeja. I have 3 issues to hand. I hope I will get the time and the opportunity to express myself. There's one thing I have noticed, which is human nature, naturally, is that we are very funny people, especially from the part of Nigeria. I've never traveled outside Nigeria before. I'm over 30. Now, the issue here is that we've had a party, one single party, ruled Nigeria for 16 good years. Now, let us compare that to Lagos State. One single party has been in charge of Lagos State for the past 18 years, right? The kind of restructuring and the rebuilding that is taking place in Lagos State for the past 18 years, once upon Lagos State to the mega city, is still work in progress. Now, we Nigerians don't want to accept that PDP practically wasted 16 years of our democracy. See, there's no way you can go about it. Now, irrespective of what APC...
Mr. Falabi, can you bring it into our topic today, Obasanjo's proposal
that's what I'm driving
for
into.
a coalition?
That's what I'm driving into. I want to arrive on Baba Obasanjo's letter. I want to arrive on Baba Obasanjo's letter. That's what I'm driving into now.
All right.
Now, the issue is that the major player of that 16 years is ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo. He ruled for 8 years. Wanted a third time, he didn't get it. Then influenced Yar'Adua to be our president. Circumstances changed. Jonathan became the president. That is their 16 years. All the projects that they are doing, they abandoned it. Now, the same President Olusegun Obasanjo is now talking of a coalition. He has had 2 opportunities to put in charge 2 people that can make what he is talking about happen in Yar'Adua and Jonathan. What I don't think Baba Obasanjo is doing, he wants somebody who he can influence in Aso Rock. That's just it. There's nothing Obasanjo can bring now. There's no way about it. Even if it's the way my brother in black suit is explaining it, that he has to be devoid of APC or PDP, and Obasanjo is involved, he's already corrupted. Because he has that power.
Okay, guys.
He did it.
Well, it's a free society. Even if he's a former president, freedom of speech is his entitlement, guaranteed. And he has expressed that guaranteed freedom. He has exercised it. Yeah. What you make of it is a whole different thing. Yes. The point is something that President Obasanjo is going to have to contend with, that he's been a major part of the past 16 years of where we are. Yes. Of course, he's going to do his best to exonerate himself, and but it is what it is. Yeah. The biggest job, and I don't know how that's going. Well, I think people have. Look, we believed in what teachers used to tell us. And so, but when we came out into the real world, we then found that it wasn't like that at all. Like that, all sorts of people. It doesn't matter how hard you work, you're not going to move 1 inch. And that's a very, 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 very important thing in this society. Work as hard as you want. Because of the way the system is, I'm afraid it's not only the lazy that are going hungry. It's not only the lazy that are going hungry. Yes, and that's something that needs to be fixed. And I don't know how, by the way, it's easy for us to make these statements. I can't tell you that I know how. But then that's why people present themselves for election. They know how. And so we wait, and we don't see the results, and we begin to get restless, and now...
sometimes the people who complain more are the people who don't participate. He has raised a very important issue here. The last election, only 15% of the total population of Nigeria voted. So why all of us are now... What moral justification do you have to complain that the government is not...
And he has expressed that guaranteed freedom. He has exercised it. Yeah. What you make of it is a whole different thing. Yes. The point is something that President Obasanjo is going to have to contend with, that he's been a major part of the past 16 years of where we are. Yes. Of course, he's going to do his best to exonerate himself, and but it is what it is. Yeah. The biggest job, and I don't know how that's going. Well, I think people have. Look, we believed in what teachers used to tell us. And so, but when we came out into the real world, we then found that it wasn't like that at all.
Like that
you know, all sorts of people. It doesn't matter how hard you work, you're not going to move 1 inch. And that's a very, 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 very important thing in this society. Work as hard as you want. Because of the way the system is, you know, I'm afraid it's not only the lazy that are going hungry. It's not only the lazy that are going hungry. And that's something that needs to be fixed. And if, I don't know how, by the way, it's easy for us to make these statements. I can't tell you that I know how. But then that's why people present themselves for election. They know how. And so we wait, and we don't see the results, and we begin to get restless, and now...
sometimes the people who complain more are the people who don't participate. He has raised a very important issue here. The last election, only 15% of the total population of Nigeria voted. So why all of us are now, what moral justification do you have to complain that the government is not working when you are not participating in the system? I think just that 15%, they are the ones who should be saying, okay, what has happened to us? Why are things not working? But when it comes to political participation, we do not come out to do the needful. Our civic responsibility, we have not taken it very seriously. You understand? People have a way of always giving excuses.
No, we have to fix this, fix that. I'm afraid, look, today I'm full of opinions. I'm afraid it's a bit like the Nigerian in the church or any other prayer place. The overnight miracle. I want it, and I believe in it.
Yeah.
And let me wake up tomorrow with an ideal state of situation, and the whole church will roar, amen.
But unfortunately, things don't work like that.
Of course not. Basil in Lekki, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I believe that the three of you, Uncle Yuri, Olayinka, and Mr. Ofele, should be part of the new movement. See, what's going on is beyond letter. That letter is a product of a process, deep thought, and it involves others, not just the President Obasanjo, whose letter is merely, how do I describe it? It's like it is time to audit our situation. And some people went to him, he's not the owner of the idea, and discussed over time. What analysis went on, audit went on, and they came to conclusion that the way our country is being managed is not likely to sustain us over the next 2 or maybe 3 decades. When you talk about security situation, talk about the economy, what about education, whatever? We are not, as that lady just said, but far beyond where we ought to be at this point in time. And if you project forward, we're told by the United Nations population body that by 2050, Nigeria's population will be above that of the United States at 425 million. See where we are, 180 million. Look at the management staff. Look at the achievement. Project forward. What do you see? Now, that is what informs those that went to President Obasanjo. After several discussions with him, he didn't immediately take it. He had some time to think about it. He did, and he took time, and he wrote that letter. It's 13 pages. Now, everybody should digest it, and then come to a position. If we all agree that we need to be farther than where we are, then we would take advantage of the movement, keep buying it, own it, and take control of our country. As Olayinka says. Thank you very much.
Indeed, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for that contribution, Basil. The thing that Basil, I'm sure, is also aware of, but he didn't necessarily include, is that the rate at which that would happen would depend largely on how trusted the people are that you are going to meet and join forces, intellectual forces with. Yes, sure. How trusting you are of their sincerity of purpose.
The motive.
And what they, thank you, that there is no hidden agenda, that as usual, and this is the bane that people have who try this kind of thing, that it's not just another ruse. We've seen this before, and unfortunately that works against people who are, trying to make a change.
Sometimes they start very well, and along the line, it is hijacked again by the old bloc. You now have...
Because they're always going to be
infiltrate the place. Yes. You now have a third force with old blocks as empires, coming with different offers. Sometimes money change hands, and sometimes influences.
Yeah, you see, because this sincerity of purpose thing. Look, even this whole change of party, government, administration, that kind of a thing, from one to the next. Look, there were people, we were talking about the pillage, the banditry that's been going on before. And there are still pockets of the new that are saying, well, now is our turn. So there's so many perspectives that you could take of a change. You'd better believe that there are those who are saying that, well, now it's our turn for what? Of course you know what they mean. Yes. Now it's our turn for the national cake that we've been, that's been barricaded all these decades. Someone on the line? Mr. George, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your panelists.
Sure.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, this whole idea of a third force, I see it as a conspiracy by a corruption fight back force. It's a corruption fight back force. Why am I saying so? Show me one person who can pass personal integrity test among them. The problem Nigeria has is corruption. And there is none of them that has come forward to say, I am coming to fight corruption. Just look at all of them. If the president, if Buhari has made, I agree, he has made some mistakes of recent. They are just trying to capitalize on those mistakes to now say we are looking for a third force. The force, that third force, if it is to come, it is when Buhari eventually fails. And these people who are talking about third force, that force that will come will sweep away all of them. None of them will be qualified to be part of that force. It will be a natural force that whoever has been a part of the rot that had existed before will be swept away by that force. Not this artificial one aimed at just removing somebody or to evade arrest or to evade corruption questioning. That's the way I see it.
All right, then.
If elections are held today, Uncle Yori, Buhari will still win after today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. So there you go. Motives that we're talking about. People have to be sure that your motives are impeccable. And I think they're still processing that.
There is no parameter for measuring intention. That is one other difficulty you are going to face.
But there's no, but I'll look at you. Whatever proposal you make, you know I'm going to look you up and down.
Yeah, that's you.
I'm going to look like this, and I'm going to look like that.
What about the other millions of Nigerians
who are not going to bother to look?
Who don't have that discernment that you have,
or who also really just
who will look?
They just want this situation to continue, but then let them be a beneficiary as well.
Like I said
earlier, too long out in the cold might be the cynical perspective of some other people.
Like I said earlier, the power thing has to change. Uncle Yori, PDP ruled for 16 years. Now, tell me, in that 16 years, different government that came, all of them, tell me, was there any continuity with any of those people in their government? Because this one wants to say, oh, no, well, that one had seven, whatever agenda. No, this is my own. No, this is one political party. It's to tell you that there is no system, there is no institution, there is no patriot whatsoever. Everybody just want to come to say, yes, I acquire that power, I am in charge, so I will do my part, and I will go when it is time to move.
And you bring your own hordes of people who become millionaires and billionaires in the process, and then another regime comes. So that's the emphasis.
Also, then, let's give this to this administration, because when it came, it didn't even, if you look at, well, I had a study on this administration a bit, and I discovered that there was some continuity, even from PDP administration, that this administration continued. Even at that, it's sad that I always say this, Ogiore, when people talk about fighting corruption, I say I do not agree with it. What I know is that they are recovering money. Even in your government, you can't even tell. Even the people in the so-called administration are even, they are not even clean. Mena Gate, where is it today?
Exactly.
What have we done about it? It was after the letter Babashi Lawa was being arrested by EFCC.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
and we see all sorts in this same
I
government. And our president is telling us that, well, I trust the people, the team that works with me. I know them. And we can see all these things. You don't know them, Mr. President.
Well, it goes back to what Mr. George said in his call. How many, whether in the PDP, whether in the APC, whether in the third force, can actually stand up and pass the integrity test?
That's a very big question.
Very big one.
You know,
apart from even the leaders.
Yes.
That
How
appointed,
many?
If you look at followers also, we in our daily lives, the way we live, how many of
Buhari will
but
pass,
that is
no?
not, that
Buhari,
is not
I think everybody has x-rayed Buhari, and Buhari will pass.
No, you can't conclude that he will pass
know.
because he also have issues with Nigerians. Okay,
Yes.
there are issues. There are some scandals upon his this and that. You know, we can't conclude that anybody will pass. Let us not conclude.
I'm going to have to concede that
Because
to you
the
because
tests-
I can just,
because the acid
in my mind,
test-
I see somebody sitting there watching and said,
Yeah, because the acid test is about your track record and the things you have to present to society for good to get validation. You understand? But so most of us have failed and politicians have failed in one way or the other. So what we should do is to begin to redefine the system.
But
which is what Obasanjo said
but
this
the problem
force is
also,
going to do. But we've also pointed out some of the
But the major problem, the major problem lies with us as people. These same people will come in 2013, they're still going to give the 2000 era. They're still going to give the rice. They're still going to give the salt. And people will collect and will still go ahead and vote for them.
Because they know power resides with the people.
But
and they know how to get that power.
But the people,
they
know that the power resides with the people.
Yes.
But the people don't know that they are the ones that have the power to put them there.
So whose fault is that?
That is the reason why I said we are the problem.
Yeah. They are doing that because we are not implementing the Electoral Act. You see, when you give inducement for the purpose of getting
in our system,
that's what I'm saying. I say we are not. We're not implementing the Electoral Act. It's an electoral offense to give gratification, just to
gratification
get vote
very,
and all
bad.
that.
But cola is
you
different.
Understand? So we need to
cola is a different
like
thing.
that.
No, cola is gratification.
No, cola is cultural.
It's illegal.
You see the problem? Some people call it gratification, some people corruption, and then some people call it cola.
So let me point this to Nigerians. When you say cultural, any culture that runs against the Constitution or any act of the National Assembly, Parliament, or act or law is illegal.
Okay, so nobody should come along and come and say, just don't go there. Just don't go there. Okay, I thank you very much, gentlemen. We're even overrunning. That's how much we're enjoying ourselves. Thanks, Evans Ufeli, and Olayinka Daniels. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming along and sharing your perspectives. Okay, that's our program today. Join us tomorrow, please, for a fresh edition. Jones Usen tomorrow, and I'll see you the day after, God willing. Bye-bye for now. I'm Yori Folari.